So before I start this review, I just want to warn you guys that if you want to get my clear opinions on this game, you should definitely watch my Let's Play. It might be really bad at some points, but it gets my opinions much more clear than this review. So the story starts off with Oikini, the nephew of Andros and the enemy of the Starfox team, wants to conquer the Lilat system. General Pepper sends the Starfox team to take care of Oikini. After they chase him to a nearby planet, they finally defeat him. After Oikini is defeated, he gets shot down and supposedly killed from a mysterious beam from a giant moth. After taking the moth out, Fox is going to steal his memory core, but moments later, more moths are coming. Big whoop there. Later on, we are told that the aliens who attacked Fox are known as Aperoids. They start attacking some random military base on some other planet. While there, they defeat a giant Aperoid and are so close to taking his memory core, but Pigma, who is also an old enemy of the Starfox team, steals it for himself. The crew then decides to hit the Sargasso space station, which they hope to find the whereabouts of Pigma. While there, they encounter Starwolf, who are the, rivals of Starfox, and which they have a new member named Panther. Starwolf informs them that Pigma is on the planet Ficina, which is basically a cold, gigantic fucking tundra or some sortness, yeah. While on Ficina, the crew finds out the Aperoids can also take over machinery, and they possess a giant freaking cannon in which the Starfox crew blows up effortlessly. However, though, things aren't as they seem, as Pigma apparently starts mumbling some random gibberish the Corp tells him to. Soon enough, the crew corners Pigma in the space station, which is completely taken over by the Aperoids. Soon enough, however, the memory core that Pigma stole completely mutates Pigma and becomes some kind of UFO space station kind of thing. In the end of the fight, Pigma gets blown up and dies. Cause that's what we need in the franchise created by Nintendo. Death by a fucking explosion. Later on, Pepper informs us that the planet Saria is being affected by the Aperoids. For most of you who don't know, Saria was the setting for the previous game, Star Fox Adventures. Apparently, the attack on Saria was a decoy, and the Aperoids took over our homeworld, Corneria. However, the attack isn't like most kiddie games where everything looks completely normal. The Aperoids took over everything. The guards, the technology, and even General Pepper. Wait, what? So we have to defeat General Pepper. Why, General Pepper? After he requests us that we should kill him. Later, all our forces plan to invade the Aperoid homeworld. After some hard fights and sequences, we head into the core. But the Great Fox gets attacked by Aperoids, which causes Peppy to blow up the Great Fox in order for our team to reach the core. While at the core starts using voice projections of everyone the Aperoids attacked, like Pigma, General Pepper, and hell, even Peppy and Fox's father, James McCloud. After throwing the virus that could wipe out all the Aperoids, we escape the homeworld as it blows up, and we find out that Peppy and Rob escaped. Thus ends Star Fox Assault. Now, as I mentioned in the Let's Play, this is probably the most plot-heavy game in the series, besides Star Fox Command. So many events like the death of Pigma and the attack in Corneria affect the future of Star Fox games, even though there is only one more game made after this. Now that the story is done, let's get into the gameplay. There are three ways of transportation: by foot, by R-Wing, and by Landmaster. On foot, you run around on third person shooting everything in sight. You can pick up weapons like machine guns, bazookas, and grenades. However, the control isn't as great on foot. Fox turns around like a tank. I can understand if they wanted to emulate the feel of an actual soldier, but Fox is a complete tank when turning around. But Fox does a great job moving in a straight line and jumping. When you're in the R-Wing, the control switches to a more classic Star Fox game. You move around and shoot things like in the past games. You can pick up bombs, speed up, slow down, and do a barrel roll. The control for the R-Wing is much better than on foot, but sometimes I find myself going too fast for missions where I need to locate things, but more on that later. When you're in the Landmaster, you have the freedom to move around, unlike the other games where the Landmaster made an appearance. You can hover, do a short boost, and shoot. This is probably your best bet because it is not as slow as on foot and not as fast as an R-Wing. There isn't that many times used the Landmaster, so there isn't that much to talk about it though. Now it's time to address the issue I had with the R-Wing. Earlier I said sometimes the R-Wing is too fast for me when you're doing missions where you need to locate things. There are two different mission structures. Ones are like the classic games where there's one path you need to take, and new ones where you have an open area and need to explore for a certain objective. The new missions aren't that bad on foot, however. If you're doing it by R-Wing, you will blaze past the items and most likely fall into the area that makes it harder to get to your objective. To make matters worse, some of the objectives are in buildings, which makes it even more of a pain in the ass to do. The graphics for the GameCube are also really impressive. I wouldn't say they're as good as Metroid Prime or Wind Waker, but they're as polished as a game released near for the end of the GameCube's lifespan. Each character has okay body animations. I never found a time where the game completely glitched on me. The only things I really have an issue is with the control and the length. The game is really short and will take you about 3 to 4 hours to beat. If you're skilled, however, you can beat it in about 2 hours. The control could have been better, but for the most part, they don't get me frustrated a lot. For my final score for Star Fox Assault, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Has great story that targets back to the Star Fox roots, but its really short controls can be kinda clunky.